Okay, this is Moshe in Israel, coming to you from the Galilee, my home for many years. So what's going on? Hezbollah is sort of kind of escalating. They're basically restricting their attacks to the Lebanese border area. I would say 95% of the people have evacuated the houses, but there is damage to buildings, houses, streets. No, I don't think it's extensive. It's nothing like what happened in Gaza. Nothing. We've got a good 150,000 or so people from the south of Israel and from, near Gaza and near Lebanon that are moved out of their houses because there was too many attacks. And I don't know when they're going to go home. This is a big problem in Israel. They're trying to resolve when they get to go home. This is serious. The contractors that do buildings, repair buildings, they're buried with work, repairing houses and structures of various commercial nature that got damaged from rockets and missiles. The land border, well, not the land border, the land shipping to avoid the Red Sea is in play. I don't know when the first trucks are going to move. I think it's probably days away is all. There's not much to it. So ships, the ports that are going to be used is away from the Red Sea, Egypt, Haifa, Israel, and the UAE, Dubai, which is kind of in between the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman, but I think technically it's in the Sea of Oman, which the Persian Gulf dumps into. And then using Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Israel and Egypt, they'll move the products around predominantly by truck, but they may start using trains. I think trucks. I don't think they go through trains, but it may be partial train, partial truck. I don't know how they're going to do it. Probably just trucks. They'll have military or police escorts in the relative country, and that's it. It shouldn't be a problem. The Houthis are still spitting at the moon, shooting rockets and drones that get knocked down. But they're mentally ill, of course. They're attacking American aircraft carrier groups. Who do they think they are, even China would think 4 or 5 times before they did that. The Houthis, they're crazed jihadists, radicals that don't even have legitimate control of the country. But the legitimate government's siding with them now. Maybe that's from coercion or threats, or I don't know. It could be that. It could be they're siding with them and they want to. That's going to go. What America's going to do is, until they decide they want to invade Yemen and destroy the Houthis on the ground, they're going to get nowhere. If the Americans were smart, which they're generally not, they would dig tunnels from Saudi Arabia into Yemen in different locations. And like Iran and Lebanon and Hamas and all those do, set them up bigger and better so they could drive tanks through there and stuff like that. And then one day they just pop up inside Yemen and they have the mother of surprise attacks. Tanks, armored personnel carriers, Expeditionary Force Marines, Delta Forces, Rangers, and everybody else flying out of the tunnels, capturing real estate in Yemen. It would be wonderful. So pretty soon we're going to go into phase 2 of the war with Gaza, whatever that means. I have a suspicion they may be flooding tunnels in phase 2, but maybe not. We keep seeing more and more evidence that more and more hostages are really dead. There's more and more publicity on the horrific crimes they did, and they're trying to stir up worldwide dissent or popularity against Hamas for using sexual torture, you might call it, as sort of a war crime or something like that. The UN will do nothing. Believe me, nothing. You're not going to see them raise up a finger against Hamas. Our casualty rate is a little bit high, noticeably higher than it used to be, because they're not calling in as many airstrikes. And there's a lot of talk in the Knesset about that has to stop. But Biden is, of course, screaming, leave those civilians alone. Biden and Netanyahu had an impasse today. Our economic minister, Bezalel Smotrich, who's kind of like the Israeli equivalent of a redneck in America, he's very right-wing, not ultra-Orthodox, Orthodox. He wears a kippah and sits in regular clothes. And they go in the military and they fight and all that, He doesn't want to give the Palestinian Authority the tax revenue money now for 2 months because they turned it over to Hamas. Why the heck should we fund Hamas? And Biden was bearing down on Netanyahu today, and we heard the phone call ended with Biden saying this call is over and hung up on Netanyahu. So I don't think Biden's in much of a position to fall out with Netanyahu. So he just got ticked off that Netanyahu wouldn't listen. What did they do in Ukraine? Well, they gave Ukraine a lot of weapons. They ran the American weapons inventory down, which is part of the snare, part of open border Biden's way of operating, right? And now they don't see giving more weapons. They possibly can't get more weapons to Ukraine, so they're telling Ukraine, well, throw the towel in, give Russia a piece of land and end it. Maybe they'll take them in the EU, maybe they'll take them in NATO, maybe not. So how does that play with Biden's thinking? Well, here's how it plays. They're giving Israel all kinds of artillery shells and bombs and equipment, which Israel needs to run the wars with multi-fronts. And then all Biden has to do is say, we can't give you any more. Congress doesn't want to do it, or blah, blah, blah. Why don't you go for a two-state solution and turn the West Bank over to these Hamas, Palestinian Authority, Hezbollah, and all of them, and we could negotiate it very easily, and you'll have a peace deal with them. Well, Netanyahu will be out in the streets so fast, if he tries that, your head would spin. And he knows it. And he knows it'd be the destruction of Israel. That's something he may not care about. Because if Israel's destroyed, well, his criminal cases no longer exist, do they? What courts? What country? So, but it's not going to work. Everybody in Israel knows that's be the end of us. Because what they did in Gaza would be child's play for what they do in the West Bank. Child's play. So that's really not an option. But Biden thick-headed and not real bright about these things. So they're probably cooking something up for the Houthis, thus the delay. But ships aren't passing through the Red Sea day after day after day now. So whatever he's cooking up might be nice, but it's not helping anything. Probably the Houthis are cutting the internet cables, which would also be the SWIFT banking cables. Would wait to see if they're going to get invaded or attacked. Probably when the attack comes, then they'll cut the cables, because cutting the cables might provoke an attack on their homeland, and they didn't want that. They don't want that. My thinking. It's probably good thinking. What else is going on? That's about it. So I had some new revelations today on the Bible prophecy stuff. And when I got off the air today, the Lord just took me by the hand and took me through so many scriptures about this that I've got a lot more clarification. it's clarification from what I said today, not really a change of anything from what I said today. It's just a clarifying it, and it'll be really kind of cool. But I didn't want to do it today because I was so knocked out from the broadcast and then him giving me a fantastic Bible study through all these prophecies, and like Luke 17, Luke 21, Mark 13, Matthew 24, and Matthew 13, and also parts of Ezekiel 39. I mean, it was quite a journey. And after I was finished, I was ready for a good cup of coffee, and I just kicked back after that, But tomorrow I'm planning on taking you through it. It just ties everything up in a nice, neat little package. And it's pretty clarifying. And there's a couple of changes of position in there. A little bit here and there. There's changes. There's different things. But it's consistent with what I told you today, basically. The change I was shown today, it's completely consistent with that. So that's what I got. And it's Shabbat here, so I send my Shabbat Shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I'm out. Thanks. Pray for me and my wife Rivka and our animals and pets that are all rescues, that we all be happy, healthy, and whole, and don't have to go in bomb shelters or anything. And appreciate the prayers, guys. Thank you for the offerings. And I'm out.